Hey everybody, I am Howard and this is Otto's Retirement Corner. Today we're going to talk about the horrors of IRMA. And no, I don't mean that lost aunt from your father's side. I mean IRMA, which is the income-related monthly adjustment amounts that you're charged for Medicare. Now what this means is when you have Part B Medicare, you pay the normal Part B monthly premium, $174.70. But if you're over certain income limits, they charge you more. So if you're more able to afford a higher premium, you pay one. And the way they do this is they go back and look 2 years back at your tax returns. So while you're working and earning a big salary or a little salary or whatever salary you're earning, that's going to show up the first 2 years you're on Medicare. Now, Medicare also has a way for you to appeal IRMA decisions, and one of the reasons for appeal is you're retired. It seems simple, but there it is. So here's my tale of woe. I retired in the middle of 2022, halfway through the year. So for 2022, I earned a really, decent amount of money along with my wife. So they went back and looked at 2020. And of course, we had a large salary. And I'm going to show you the 2024 IRMA hurdles. These are for 2024. They're similar going back a couple years. These are the income hurdles. Those are the amounts, single and married. And this is what you'd pay for Part B, and this is what you'd pay for Part D if you are over those income amounts. Okay? Now, there's an appeal process where you can say, hey, I'm no longer working. I won't be earning any more money. I don't think I should be charged these IRMAs. And in a sense, the system kind of works, as I found out. So they came back to me and they put me in that second bracket of IRMA. So it was about 170 bucks a month more for B and like 30 bucks. So it was about 200 bucks a month more. And I appealed it. I got a letter from my employer saying Howard's no longer working here. He's not earning a salary anymore going forward from the end of June 22. And I sent in the appeal. I think it's a Form 44. And they kind of accepted it. They came back with a letter saying, okay, instead of the second bracket, we're just going to charge you the first bracket. Which I don't know if it was a compromise or they just screwed up. Because based upon my appeal, it would be no IRMA whatsoever. We'd be below that first hurdle. So I called them, waited on, I waited on the phone for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was, finally got someone, went through this whole discussion, and they said, you're right, let me get that fixed, I will call you back, and the guy never called back. And as much as I tried to reach him, I could never get him, I could never get anybody else to see any notes in my account, so I gave up. Sad to say, I gave up. At the time, it was hard to get into a Social Security office. There were still some shutdowns from the COVID protocols. A lot of people weren't working in the offices, so I was stuck. And this is the IRMA horror, or any horror when you have to go through this process. And understand, the Social Security Administration runs this, so you're actually dealing with them at the same time you can be dealing with people at Medicare. So, okay, so for the end through 22, I paid that higher amount. 2023 comes around, and they give me the same first hurdle. So I'm in that first bracket of IRMA, and I'm beaten. So I pay it. I pay it. So now we come to 2024. My January invoice comes, and I'm in that first hurdle again. The problem is they also sent me a letter saying, hey, now you're in that second hurdle. Okay, so I'm getting mixed messages here. So I file another appeal. I gave them the same letter I sent them the first time. I said, hey, here, my wife and I are going to earn this much. It's well below any of those hurdles. And then I get another letter saying, okay, you're back in that first hurdle. Then I get my February invoice, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't really look very closely at it because they're all the same, all right? So Then I get a letter like a week later saying, hey, we tried to process your payment. I have an automatic, I'm not in Social Security, so I have to pay it out of my pocket. I pay it automatically out of my checking account. And they said we weren't able to process your payment because the amount of your bill is larger than what is allowed through the system, which is shocking to me. Like, what the heck's going on? So I go and pull out that previous bill, and I have the same 174.70, which is your Medicare Part B premium for everybody. But for my Part B IRMA, instead of 69.90, it's 682.50, and instead of my Part D being 12.90, it's 131.10. What the heck's going on? All right, so I call Medicare, and shock of all shocks, it takes me 7 minutes to get through. Talk to somebody and explain this all. Had explained it several times. They didn't really understand what was going on, and they had no clue. Don't understand why you're being billed that. Social Security puts those amounts in place. There's really no notes in your account. I can't figure it out. I'm going to have the billing department call you. No. You can't call the billing department. They have to call you. Okay, have the billing department call me. When will they call me? Well, we don't know. It's going to be 3 to 5 business days. You can choose morning or night or afternoon. So, okay, after 2. Sometime after 2 in the next 3 to 5 business days, they're going to call me. Well, can you guess what what didn't happen? Of course, they didn't call me. So now we're coming up on, this was Thursday, my deadline to make my payment or to lose my coverage. So I'm desperate now. So I call again and I get through immediately. No wait, it's so cool. And again, I talk to somebody, he's really not sure, on and off the phone, hold. Finally comes back and says, well, I think I figured out what happened. They're charging you 6 months back IRMA at the higher rate. I said, okay, why are they doing that? I don't know. Why would it be for 6 months instead of a full year? No, I don't know. and this is part of the problem. And you know what? I'm not blaming the people there. I'm blaming the organization. I'm blaming Congress for not allocating enough money for Social Security and Medicare administrations to run their operations, train their people, put in good IT systems. All right? I'm not mad at the people there. It is the system. All right? But we have to deal with this. There's 70 million of us about, dealing with Medicare and Social Security. So I'm dealing with this. All right. So now he says, okay, we can't solve this for you. You need to call Social Security. All right, give me that number. So he gives me a number, and you get on. They say you got a 39-minute wait. It turns into about an hour. I'm on hold. But what can you do? So finally, a woman answers, and she is as sick as can be. She's like coughing and sneezing, and you can't understand what she's saying. I said, you know what? Take care of yourself. Go home and switch me to someone else. And she says, I am home. All right, so right there in that minute, I know she's not going to get any help from anybody else. And if I need to speak to a supervisor, she's not going to go up and find a supervisor. I'm on my own. And I'm not calling back. I'm not, as much as I want her to take care of herself, if I hang up, she's just going to get another call from someone else, and I'm on hold for another hour. All right, so I'm talking to her, and she doesn't understand it either. She doesn't get it. She doesn't know why, what's going on, and finally decides that, you know what, the only thing you can do is go visit your local office. Okay, that's in Tampa. It's going to be anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour drive for me. But, okay, can I make an appointment? Oh, sure, yeah. Well, there's no appointments online. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Howard, she says. Let me call that office right now and set up an appointment for you. Because I understand what you're going through. You shouldn't have to go through any more of this. She calls them up while I'm on hold, gets back to me and says, hey, you know what? There are no appointments. They just don't have any appointments. I said, well, is that because they're booked up? All the appointments are taken? Or they don't take appointments? I don't know. Okay? So what do I do? Well, you just have to go down there. I said, well, okay, if they're all booked up, what are the odds that I walk in and get to speak to somebody? Said, I don't know. So she calls them back again and, explains this to them. And their recommendation to her to give to me is, come in, the office opens at 9, line up at 8:30. They usually open the doors and let people in, and just hope they can get, she thinks they can take you pretty quickly. Okay. So meanwhile, what do? My bill's due today. I don't know. And again, I don't know if it's the fault of the people I'm talking to. My sense is they're just not trained really well because, they're so short-staffed and just don't have the time, especially when people are working remotely. So I paid my $988.30, and I'm hoping that I'm going to go down there next week, one day, and get to speak to somebody and get this straightened out. Even worse though, they can say, oh, we only charge you for 6 months. We're going to charge you for another 6 months, and we're going to keep you in that second tier for the next, the rest of this year. The good news is in 2023, the year just ended, I managed our income, my wife's income plus what I took from my IRA. And part of my whole theory of managing what you take out of what pockets is to manage not only the income tax you're going to have to pay, but controlling IRMA. And I'll have a video on this soon. So I had planned to keep my income below the hurdle to pay IRMA. And they'll see that for 2023 once they look at 2025. So worst case scenario, I'm going to pay this inflated. It's going to cost me a couple $1,000s a year for a couple years extra for a couple years. Not good. Can I afford to pay it? Yeah. Should I pay it? No. Do I need to pay it? No. Do I want to pay it? No. Do I deserve to pay it? No. No. So that's my horror story. Good news is you can get through to Medicare on the phone pretty quickly and easily for those of you who've been afraid to. The bad news is Social Security is really hard to get to. And I'll let you know what happens when I finally venture out to the Social Security office. If anybody's gone through this, tell me your tales of woe in the comments. What are your experiences? Do you have any tricks? Do you have any suggestions? You know anybody? Do you have an Aunt Irma who can help me? But hey, keep the faith, keep the hope. Please subscribe, please like, and please comment. Getting some great comments, getting some great conversations. Keep it up. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.